Alright, so I'm going to show you guys how to make a wood, opal, and titanium ring. So I got the stuff that laid out that you need to prep for the ring. Here's the titanium core that I use. And then I got this nice veneer that's sapele, a plate, a paper towel, a pair of calipers, and scissors, and some sandpaper. So the first step that you want to do is you take your calipers and you want to measure the inside groove of the titanium ring to see how big that channel is. And it is 4 millimeters wide right there in that channel. So I'm going to go a little smaller. I'm going to go 3.5 millimeters, and I'm going to scribe out on my veneer the line for a 3 millimeter long strip. And I just go over it until I can see the groove line. Alright, I scored it out. If you can see, there's a score right there. And then I just follow on that line using some scissors. And this is the easiest way to do it. I think I've used X-Acto knives and tried to cut it, or just regular carving knives, and even veneer saws, and it's just really the easiest way is to use scissors for this. So, and then you see that it fits inside the groove right there, so that's good. Alright, and then I take my sandpaper. You want to sand the end down flat, and this is so that when you're wrapping it around, when it goes for that first layer, it's going to be easier to wrap around. And then you can see right there I got it paper thin on that end, so that's going to make it easier. Next step, so I take my paper towel, go over to my sink, I get it wet, just a damp paper towel. And this is probably the most important part, is to steam bend it, or else your veneer is just gonna bend and not work with you when you're trying to wrap it around the titanium core. So, damp paper towel, I wrap the veneer strip inside of it and put it on a plate, and then I take it to the microwave. You just have to put it in the microwave for 20 seconds, that's all you really need. Then the next step is we're going to go outside to the lathe, and I'll show you how to put on the veneer onto the core. Alright, so I got this hooked up on my lathe right now, and the first step that we're going to do is I'm going to take some 120 sandpaper, and I'm going to try and mark up the middle of this channel right here so that the glue sticks to it better, because right now it's all shiny and polished. So if you put glue on it right now and then tried to put the wood around it, it probably wouldn't stick great. So there we go. We got it all sanded up and scored. You can see it right there. Yeah. Alright. So we got the veneer right now. I already tested it out, started wrapping it around, and it will fit nicely. So the first step, you want to put a little bit of glue right there and find something to hold down the wood. Alright, so I got this old file that doesn't cut anymore, so I just kind of use this to place the wood there, and you just hold it there until it dries up. It's best to use an accelerator. So just wait for it to dry. Alright, that didn't work out because I didn't have the accelerator, so it didn't dry fast enough. This is just a thick CA glue that I'm using, and put a little accelerator on there, and then you gotta be quick about this part. Just put the wood right in the channel, let it dry. And it dries way quicker with the accelerator, so you don't have to stand there and wait for glue to dry. And it's already, yeah, it already stuck right there. Alright, so now you just continue, put a little glue in the channel, and then wrap a little more, wait for it to dry, put some accelerator on there. Just a slow process, and you just do a little at a time until it's wrapped all the way around there. Alright, so I got the veneer wrapped around until it's a little above the channel so that I can just cut it flush. And lastly, I just put some CA glue all the way around it and just let that soak in so that it is nice and hard and easy to work with, and the veneer doesn't blow up or fall apart when you turn it off. So there we go. Then I'm just gonna let that dry. Alright, so I got this little jar to catch all of the opal because this opal's precious. So next step is I grabbed my file that was too old to use, and I repurposed it into a way so that I can push the opal into the channel where I need. So what I do is I put a little dab of CA glue with thick viscosity, and then I take the opal and the file. This is medium sand space titanium opal, which has got a really pretty colors. So I just take a little opal and place it in the channel. Make sure there's no open gaps or anything. Try to squeeze it in as tight as I can, because you don't want to see the titanium sticking out the bottom of it. You just want to see all opal. And if you lose some, that's alright, because it goes right down into my little jar right here. So I filled that up, put a little more glue in there, and some more opal. And that's the whole process. You just do that all the way around, so you guys probably don't need to see me do the whole process, but that's how you inlay the stone into the ring. Alright, so I got it all the way around, and now just spray it with a little accelerator. And then, oh yeah, this is an important part. So I take all my leftovers and I put it right back into the bag. That easy. So that's the way that you can get your opal to last longer, is just conserve and you use it as if it was diamonds, you know. So I put another coat of CA around and I just glob it on there real heavy. I wait for that to dry so that it gets into all the crevices and stuff, so that there's no gaps in between the CA glue. I'll just wait for that to dry. Alright, so now all of the glue is hardening up, so I turn it back on, and you want to go lightly with your cuts, just so that if you go too heavy, you're just gonna rip out the whole stone, or all the chips of opal, and then you're gonna have gaps in between your ring, so you don't want that. So you just go nice and light, take light cuts. Alright, look at it, and everything's flush and there's no gaps in between the opal. If there was, what you do is you take your CA glue and you just rub it in the gaps, and that's how you do it if you have gaps in the CA glue, just to make sure everything's sealed and nice. It's quite easy. So that step's done. We got the opal and the wood. Now next step, I'm gonna show you guys how to inlay wire into it, so that we got all the disciplines into this wood. We got the titanium liner, we got wood veneer, opal, and then next we're gonna put in some silver wire. Now this is 22 gauge round silver wire, and it's gonna turn out nicely in this ring because it's gonna complement the titanium with about the same color, and also it's gonna divide the opal and the wood, so it's separate. So I set up my calipers to 4 millimeters again. There's the center line. Then I take my skew chisel, I go to the top of it, I cut in a groove. And then next I take my round file. It's round. put it against the tool rest and go right on that center mark and widen it up. And then I turn it off a few times. They say measure twice, cut once, but with this it's more like measure 10 times. And then hopefully it's correct. So, unwrapping my wire. And I test out the fit. It can go a little deeper, and we want to stick it up a little above it, because the look I want, I don't want it a round wire. I want it so that when I turn it down, it kind of looks like a flat piece of wire, and it's kind of part of the titanium ring. Alright, that's looking good. So I just clean up those raised edges that we created when filing, and clean it out a little bit. Alright, so that's nice and clean. It's sitting in there nicely. So the next step in the process is gonna put the wire in. I'll put a little bit of glue right there, and then place that right there. A little bit of accelerator, and then I use my junky wire cutters to just hold it in place till the glue sets. And it's set. Alright, so what you want to do is you want to go all the way around with the wire, cut it off, give yourself a little extra around, and then the next step is you're just gonna slowly glue in the wire. So a little thick CA glue, and then place it in, wait for it to dry. You put accelerator on it. A little more glue. And when you place it in, sometimes there's air bubbles that pop up. You can just get rid of those just by brushing it off with your finger. If you get super glue fingers like me, I always got super glue on my fingers. And that's how you put in the wire. One last thing, I want to show you the most important part about putting in a wire. So the trick and the magic of it is you're gonna try and make it so that it looks like it's not a piece of wire and that it's just continuous. So what you want to do is you want to get that wire as close as you can so that there's no gaps in between, so that you can barely see where they connect, where it's barely visible. So what I do is I take a estimate, and then I go a little longer for where it is, and then I just tiny bit by tiny bit just take off a little more on the wire until it's completely flush. And there we go. That is completely flush right there. Can't see any gaps, so that's where I'm gonna glue it in. So Just put a lot of glue in there. Then I take my not so good wire cutters and I just hold it in place right there until it dries. And that is how you do the wire inlay. All the glue is dry right now, so this is going to be our last cut on the lathe. So what I do is very lightly, and with what I got using for the skew, I got this Easy Wood carbide cutter, and this allows you to cut through the silver or brass or the metals easy. And if you don't have a machinist lathe, you kind of need this to do the work that I've been doing. So we're just taking our final cuts on this, making sure everything is flush, getting all the glue marks off. You want to turn your lathe off and on, and then look to see where the excess glue is left. Just take it off. Alright, we still got a little more glue on there. Still a little more. Yeah, that is looking good. No gaps or cracks or anything. And the glue's off. So the next step is take my sandpaper. This is some Fincat sandpaper, and it's really nice. It's reusable. It's kind of made of a cloth, so it can bend and everything. And it's got a bunch of holes in it, so when it fills with dust, you just flick it out. So I'm gonna wet sand this because I got the wire and the titanium sides, and it's better to wet sand with metal. Alright, so the titanium's looking great, the opal's looking great, everything's looking great on this ring right now. So it is sanded to 600 grit right now. I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to go to 1500 grit with my micro mesh. And then I'm going to take my extra fine Scotch-Brite steel wool, just sand that a little bit, and now it's nice and shiny, looking good. So next step is take some denatured alcohol, put a little bit on the paper towel, and I rub it on to here. The reason I put the denatured alcohol on there is it takes away everything that's left on there, like all the scratches or the residue from the sandpaper and wood chips or dust or anything. It takes that off, and it prepares so that when you put the CA glue finish on it, that everything sticks real good. So here I got the super fast thin CA glue, and I turned my lathe RPM down to about 150, 200 RPMs, just really slow, and I put it right directly on the ring, and then I just smooth it out with that paper towel and wait for it to dry. The CA glue dries in about 3 seconds or so because it's just so thin. You can put some on the paper towel, rub a little more on. That is looking good. So I usually do about 4 to 6 coats of this, just till I think I got a nice polish on it. It's building up the CA glue and you can see it nice and shiny. So it's building up, it's looking nice. That was like 4 coats or something right there. So that's looking good. Next step, I'm going to turn the speed up. Make sure it's dry, you just touch it, and then if your finger sticks, then it's not dry. I take the 1500 very lightly, just sand. And then I put one more coat of the CA on it. That is looking good. Alright. So the 1500 grit, the one that you start out with for the finish, you want to go very lightly because it's easy to just take all that CA glue that you just put on. You can just take it off really easy. So you just sand very lightly, and then you continue the process. I got micro mesh that goes all the way up to 12,000 grit. So I'll get back to you when I'm done. Alright, so I got it up to 12,000 grit. It's starting to look really shiny, really polished up and nice. So the next step, this is a very important step. I use this Hut Ultra Gloss plastic polish. You can also use certain types of car polish to put the finish on it, but this is an important part because the CA glue is an acrylate. It's really takes to the plastic polish after you're done sanding it. So I'm about 1500 to 2000 RPMs. I shake up the bottle, put a little bit in, and just rub it on there real lightly. So with the polish, you need to put it on and then wipe it off with friction, and that's how the polish really works. So make sure you get the sides also. Alright, so I got the polish on there, and that is looking really nice. So there's only one last step to do, and that step really puts the finishing touches on it and allows to make for a really awesome ring. So that's how it is looking right now. If you can see that. Alright, it's looking good. So this is the final step in the ring making process. I'm making a titanium, wood, and opal ring. So use this buffing wheel. Here's the buffing compound. Take the ring, I put it in my finger like this and just let it spin on that buffing wheel. Let all the compound get into it. Make sure I get the sides also. Sides are important. And what's nice about these titanium cores, the guy, the opal dealer who provides them, already has the inside and the outsides polished for you. So it's got a really nice finish on it, so you don't have to worry about doing anything on the inside. He did that step for you. Then I take it to the other wheel to clean off. And that is the final step. I'll get some photos of this and then post it on the video also. So, here's the finished ring.